welcome back. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. It has nothing to do with beauty or fashion or anything my channel is about. But I decided I wanted to kind of branch out my channel into little different things that I'm interested in. So kind of making this like a beauty channel plus kind of like a vlog-ish channel. So today's video is going to be my top 10 Netflix series favorites. My top 10 TV shows that are on Netflix that I think you should watch. Like I said, it's different, but I am always looking for new TV shows to watch on Netflix because I binge watch the crap out of every TV show, so I'm always needing new shows to watch. So I figured, why not tell what I like, and hopefully if y'all have the same kind of likes or dislikes that I do, then you might like some of these if you haven't already seen them. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start from number 10 all the way up to number 1. Just to kind of build the hype for the number 1 show. Plus, I'm going to mention some honorable mentions, as I like to call them. They're just a few of my favorite shows that didn't make it to the top 10, but they are worth watching. So let's get started with number 10. So before I get into the list of shows, I need you to know that I do not like girly shows. So that's just something to keep in mind as we go throughout this video. So I've never watched The Gilmore Girls, Friends, you know, stuff like that. I don't watch that. I don't enjoy that kind of thing. So just keep that in mind. Those things are not going to be on this list, but there are going to be a few little girly things, but not too much. Most of it is not, so just keep that in mind. So moving on, number 10 in Carson's list of greatest TV shows on Netflix is The Vampire Diaries. So this kind of is a little girly, but I wouldn't be mad if a guy was watching it. Like, you know, it's interesting. The two main vampire characters, this is about vampires if you didn't know, but the two main vampire characters are brothers, Stefan and Damon, good and bad, and it's just awesome. It's basically centered around them and their girlfriends, their friends, and it just takes, each character has their own storyline, their own story, and you just dive into each of them, and then just as the seasons go on, I think it's on like season 5 maybe, and it's the last season, but just as it goes on, everybody develops and, you know, loses powers, becomes human, becomes vampires. Like, it's just amazing. Just great overall storylines. It just really keeps me entertained for a long time. So number 9 is more girly, but it is Once Upon a Time. I love this show. I don't love it as much as I did when I first started watching it, and I think it's because it started to become really repetitive. Just the same villain hero type situation. Once Upon a Time is basically about fairy tale creatures or people, basically Disney characters. Like, the main characters are Snow White and Prince Charming, and there's Rumpelstiltskin, the evil queen. They've brought in Frozen, Jasmine and Aladdin. Just every Disney character you can think of has been on this show or will appear on this show. So I love that about it. If you love Disney, you will love this show. But like I said, after a couple seasons, probably after the second or third season, it starts to get really repetitive, where it's always the heroes versus the villains. What's going to happen? You know the heroes are going to win, but how are they going to do it this time? So that is why it's number 9, because it's just very, very repetitive. So number 8 is Lost. So Lost is a very confusing show. You really have to pay attention. But it's really, really interesting. Like, it's about these group of people that their plane has crashed on a deserted island, and they have to, you know, survive, and they find things, they find people living on there, and they're trying to figure out how to get off the island and just survive with all these other things that are happening. So the last season is okay. That's why it's number 8, and the very ending I hated. So if you've seen Lost or heard someone that they've watched Lost, then you've probably heard that the ending is terrible, and it is. But that didn't stop me from wanting to watch the series. So it's overall really, really good and really interesting. So number 8 is Supernatural. And it would be higher, but I have so many like number 1-ish that kind of like tie that it had to just go down in the list. So Supernatural is amazing. It has like 12 12 seasons, I think. The 12th season is on TV, I think. And it's about two brothers, Dean and Sam. So perfect brothers that fight ghosts, goblins, gremlins, you know, vampires, werewolves, any type of supernatural creature that they run across, they fight them. And they also have a really good friend called Castiel. He's an angel, and they know the king of hell, which is Crowley. So they're just kind of all over the place. They have ties in heaven and hell and earth, and they battle demons all the time. And they talk to angels, and it's just amazing. And, you know, their story comes, you know, if you've seen the first season and you're watching all the way till the end, everything ties together. Not to mention Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is, you may know as, crap, I just forgot his name. As Negan, he is actually Sam and Dean's dad, which something happens to him. If you're going to watch the show, I'm not going to tell you, but... So, it just follows them throughout their whole lives, growing up to now and everything that happens. And so, it's just a really good show with a lot of plot twists and there's comedy in there. You know, Dean, he's so funny, and just the stuff they write for him is so funny. It's so fitting to him and his character. But, yeah, if you haven't seen that, you definitely need to give it a try, especially if you like ghostly type things. You definitely need to watch that. So number 6 is Prison Break. Prison Break is just awesome. It's about these two brothers, again. One of them is wrongly accused for killing the vice president, I think. And so he's in this maximum security prison, but his brother is really, really smart, and he actually designed the prison. So he gets himself into prison to basically break his brother out, hence the name Prison Break. And there's other people that come along with them, and just things that happen in jail that are just really cool. And then once they get out of jail, sorry, spoiler, they get out of jail. Once they get out of jail, then, you know, all these other things happen and whatever. So it's really, really interesting, and it just really held my attention, and I like needed to watch it very quickly because I needed to know what happened next. So number 5 is Pretty Little Liars, and so this is probably the girliest show that I have on my list, and I have just grown up loving the show. I mean, I think it's going to be like 5 or 6 seasons, but it's on the last season whenever it comes out this year. And so it's really, really sad, but I love this. I love this show. It's about 5 girls, and I can't really say much because at the beginning, one they think is dead, so they're trying to figure out how it happened or who did it. Other things happen to them throughout the years and throughout the seasons. So I just love seeing them, like, I just love their styles too. Is that kind of weird? Like, I'd love to see how like Arya's dressing and Hannah's dressing, and so like kind of pull inspiration from them, but also, you know, their hair and makeup, and then just the story in general. It's just very cool. And then they have like Halloween specials, which I love, and they have Christmas ones, so it's got like kind of like mystery / suspense in it as well. So that is probably why I really, really like this show, because I love horror, mystery, suspense, anything like that. So number 4 is Stranger Things. So this is actually a Netflix original series, and it only has 1 season, sadly. So it's about these 4 little boys, and one of them goes missing, and so the 3 boys try to figure out, you know, what happened to him, and they come across this girl who looks really strange. You know, she has a shaved head and everything, and, you know, she comes into the mix and kind of helps them and stuff. So the supernatural element kind of plays into the show as well, because that is a big issue in the show. So I'm not going to say anything else because it is a wonderful show. I think we watched it in like 2 days, but again, it's only 1 season, so I'm pretty excited for the next one. I hope it comes out soon. I think it's supposed to come out this year, but I think it's not until like later this year, which kind of sucks. But if you haven't seen it, you really, really need to. It's not scary or anything. It's just suspenseful. So my top 3 are pretty much all tied for number 1, but I had to list them, you know, 1, 2, 3. So my number 3 show is Breaking Bad. I love that show. I'm ready to watch it again. It's just like just the best show ever. It's just great. I mean, it's about, if you haven't seen that, where have you been? But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you haven't had Netflix or something. But if you haven't seen it, it's about this old man. He's dying of cancer, trying to figure out how to support his family. and I think he's like a chemistry teacher or something. And so he's trying to figure out something to support his family after he dies, because he is dying. And he gets mixed up with this this other boy, and they start making meth together. And it's just this whole thing about, you know, just making meth and staying away from the cops and drug dealers and stuff. It's pretty dark. When I first started watching it, I was like, oh, okay. Like this, it was nothing like I've ever seen before, because it was so dark and kind of grim, and some of the parts were a little gruesome. So if you don't like gory type of stuff, it's not every episode, probably like, I don't know, once or twice a season, but if you don't like that kind of stuff, then you may not like Breaking Bad. But it really didn't bother me that much, but it is a little bit dark. Like, just, it kind of gets down, it's like, oh, never thought that could happen, or I hope that never happens to me, or, you know, just stuff like that. But it's an awesome, awesome, awesome show. So if you haven't seen it, you really, really need to watch it. So number 2 is The Walking Dead. I love this show. I was just trying to search new things on Netflix, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, I've heard of this show. And I started watching it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so I just watched it really quickly, and now I keep up every Sunday. I'm there. I stay up late. This is an awesome show. It's just, it follows basically one man who used to be a sheriff, Rick Grimes, just a perfect little, you know, kicker, and follows him. And he has, it's hard to explain, because there's so many other characters that come in and out of this series, and it's based on a comic book. And so it's just amazing. There's nothing more I can say about it. If you don't know about it, you need to know about it. I mean, there's zombies they call walkers. I'm just rambling about this show. It's amazing. Go watch it. So my number 1 show that is on Netflix right now is Sons of Anarchy. And you may have not guessed that, but I love this show. It was amazing, amazing. I mean, I will say Sons of Anarchy is number 1 by far, above Walking Dead and Breaking Bad. Walking Dead and Breaking Bad are pretty much tied for number 2, but Sons of Anarchy, way up there. It's about this biker gang called, called the Sons of Anarchy. So basically it is about a biker gang called the Sons of Anarchy, and or Sam Crow, and it follows one main member, Jax Teller, but then also his mom, his stepdad. It features in his dad a little bit, even though he's passed away. You know, his girlfriends that come in and out, and his best friend. Just pretty much the whole biker gang and his club exclusively are the main characters, but he's like the number 1. But it just follows what they have to do with their gang, you know, just stuff like that. Like, it shows like prospecting for the gang. I mean, it just shows everything. Drug deals, they sell guns, so stuff like that. It's just, I mean, they have ties to the Irish, so they go to Ireland at one point. It's just amazing. And this is a little dark as well. Not as dark as Breaking Bad was to me, but it is a little dark just because there are lots of killing, there's drug dealing, you know, just stuff like that. So if you're not a fan of that, you probably wouldn't like this, but it is amazing. Like, I am ready to watch the show again. I cried at the end. I was so sad. I didn't want it to be over, and just the way it was over, it was so sad. I literally cried for like 5 minutes, just like, you know, just, I was so sad. And because you get so connected to the characters, and you feel like you know them, and I love when shows do that. And this is the only show that I've seen that really surprises the audience. Like, I remember one little situation. They, you know, all the characters knew what was going to happen, but the audience didn't. So when it happened, all the characters are like, oh yeah, you know, we knew that was going to happen, but then they fooled the audience. And I was like, what? That's so cool. Like, usually it's the other way around. The audience knows what's going to happen to the other characters, but they don't. I don't know. It was just really amazing. So if you haven't seen that, you really, 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 really need to. It does have lots of crime and stuff like that, but it's just amazing. I'm gonna watch it again soon. And Kurt Sutter, who is the director, I think, and producer, I don't know, but he followed me on Twitter. So it's just amazing. And they have a prequel to Sons of Anarchy coming out sometime. It's called The Mayans, which if you've watched Sons, then you know that it's a rival biker gang. The Mayans are. So I don't know, it's just awesome. Basically, you really need to check it out. So for my honorable mentions, I'm not really going to explain them because I just explained the whole, you know, top 10 list. I'm just going to pretty much list these and just give little bits of details just so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But the first one I have, and these are in no order, the first one I have is Criminal Minds. This is a great show. It's really long, like I think it's on its 11th or 12th season as well. My favorite actor, Shamar Moore, is on this show. Love. So that's one of the reasons why I love this show. But it basically takes a different route to crime hunting, I guess. I don't know, crime solving. And they figure out who the killer is by their MO, which is, you know, how they killed, or, you know, if they buried them or if they left them out, you know, just stuff like that. Just stuff that other, you know, detectives and stuff really don't think about. So I loved that about it. The next one I have is Revenge. And this goes along with kind of girly-ish, but it's about this girl whose dad dies because of another family, so she's trying to get revenge on them, basically. So that's actually the show I'm watching right now. I haven't finished it yet, so I go in between from watching it a lot to just watching one here or there, so it hasn't kept my attention completely, but it's still enough to mention. It's a really great show. And the next one I have, I really enjoy. It's called Bates Motel, and you know, it just centers around crap, I forgot his name. I keep forgetting people's names. Norman. It centers around Norman Bates, just like in the movie Psycho, and his mom. So it's just really, really great. You need to watch it now. And my last honorable mention is American Horror Story. It kind of confused me at first because every season is a different story with different characters, but the same cast, I guess, plays. The same people play in each season. They're just different characters, if that makes sense. So that kind of confused me at first, but like the first season is about, I think, a house that's haunted. The second season is, I think, an asylum. The third season is the coven, like the witch's coven. Fourth, I think, is the freak show. And that was kind of weird. Like, that's the fourth season was where it started to get like just a little too weird for me. Fifth season was the hotel. Didn't even finish that one. And the sixth season was the one that was just on TV, which was My Roanoke Nightmare, which was good until like the last episode. Like, I was really enjoying that until the last episode. But if you're going to watch American Horror Story, I recommend watching the first 2 seasons. And then if you enjoyed those, then keep going. But yeah, so it's really, really interesting. It's just, you know, I can't really explain it because every season's different. But that's definitely something worth watching. Alright, so that was it for my top 10 favorite TV shows on Netflix. I still don't know how to say it even though I've done this whole video. And please don't forget to subscribe. I really, really appreciate it. And don't forget to like my video if you enjoyed it. And let me know if you want to see any more top 10 style things, like top 10 movies on Netflix, top 10, it could be anything, nail polishes, foundations, anything like that. Just let me know down in the comments. I read everybody's comment and get back to everybody. So I hope you have a good week or weekend whenever you're watching this, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.